What's up? We already went over the whole bulk recording in a previous video, so we're not going to get into that now. We're just going to dive straight into the no disclaimers book tag. I have the questions here on my phone. We're going to go over them. I'm hoping because there's only 9 questions, we'll be able to get through this. So let's just start off. Question number 1 is, what are the tropes or a singular trope that annoy you the most in books? Honestly, I feel like I'm okay with the trope because I think it's all about how the author executes the trope. And so while I think that like maybe I don't want to read a book about miscommunication, maybe if I never have this microphone angled toward me like a sane person. But that's not fun to read about 9 times out of 10. But again, it's all about the execution, and so I can overlook a trope that I'm just kind of like side eyeing if I have faith that the author can execute. It's like that one is a bit of a cop out answer, but whatever. Next question: which writer or writers do you feel are overrated or overhyped? This, I think, is a bullshit question. Just that. I think it's a bullshit question. There are books that I think are overhyped. I don't know if I would ever say that an author is. That's, I think, where the bullshit comes in. But, like, particular books, we can talk about. So I think The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, totally overhyped. Not because Taylor Jenkins Reid is incompetent, but I think that Taylor Jenkins Reid wanted to tackle subject matter that they were not equipped to address, to deal with. The nuances of that, I feel they were just completely lost here. Now, do I think that Taylor Jenkins Reid is a bad writer? No, because I think that Evelyn Hugo, as constructed, was an interesting voice. They compelled me to finish, to push through all the insensitivities. And I think that if I were reading a Taylor Jenkins Reid book about white people, I would have loved it. So I don't think that they're a bad writer. I just think that this book was completely overhyped, and people, they weren't. I don't know. Maybe they weren't picking up on the things that I was picking up on. I don't know. That can go over there. I think that Carry On again is in a similar situation. Although I think that Rainbow Rowell just might not be a very good writer, because I tried reading Attachments and that premise was just I couldn't deal with it anymore. I thought it was kind of creepy. But specifically Carry On, the one book I did finish, I think that that book in particular was also overhyped, where it was just not a cute situation. Again, maybe even, you know what, take it back. Maybe no, because even Karen McManus, I think, is a decent quality writer, but One of Us is Lying and Two Can Keep a Secret are both poorly constructed narratives that I think don't work as thrillers. I think that they worked in the sense that each chapter, take it back. One of Us is Lying did not have really good anything going on. All of the voices of all the characters muddled together for me. I think that Two Can Keep a Secret was better at distinguishing. I think his name was Malcolm. I think that was a love interest in that book, and Ellery. They weren't like the same person. But again, I think that the third act fell apart in both of her novels, and they fell apart in much the same way. And so I think that those books are overhyped. But I think that Karen McManus is a fine writer. Like, her ability to write words is fine, but her story's ability to be coherent until the end, that lacks some stuff to be desired. So I think I've gone off on that question enough, and we should just move on. Number 3 is, what are your least favorite books you've read since joining BookTube? I think The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is easily one that I can point to. A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara is another one. That was more big and like the adult literary fiction, people who follow like the Man Booker Prize, like that side of YouTube. Like, that was not big on the YA side, where I currently usually provide content on. I've only heard of one person that I've had like an in-person conversation with enjoy A Little Life. Um, I'm happy for them. I really, truly am. But I just could not fuck with that book. So maybe it was the audiobook. Maybe I will pick up the physical copy, and maybe that'll be a better experience. But I can't even say I was let down by that book because I heard nothing but terrible things, and then I read the book, and so that could have influenced me. But also, the book was just like, to be fair, it gave me everything that I was promised I was going to get out of it, right? It gave me all of the torture porn that I was promised. So it's not like I was sold a bill of goods and I got something different. It was just like, I don't know. But there was also characters in that book that just weren't really great. Like, I will never forget the black character in that book was like, I don't know if I can really call myself black because I've never struggled. And I was like, so those are like the two big ones. Everything else I think is just sort of whatever. Like, Illuminae was a disappointment, but like, whatever. What else was? Karen and McManus, both of her books were disappointments, but that again was like, whatever. So I think Evelyn Hugo and A Little Life were the bigger ones, and mostly even Evelyn Hugo because I'd heard nothing but positive things. And while I can see some of those positive things, I think that one's the more egregious one because it's like all of these terrible things are like right here, and I haven't heard anybody talk about that. So at least with A Little Life, I was aware that there were people who had issues, but with Evelyn Hugo, I was completely blindsided. Next question, number 4, a terrible ending that ruined an otherwise quality book. I think that Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen McManus was pretty okay until the end. Even One of Us is Lying was pretty good until the end. Like I said, One of Us is Lying had an issue where I felt the characters' voices melded together. I don't think that Karen McManus writing, I think there was, 4 different perspectives. It was like a Breakfast Club retelling. So I think there was 4 because one of them is dead. I don't think that was a great idea for the debut. I didn't find them personally distinctive. I didn't think any of them were great. But specifically, Two Can Keep a Secret, I remember really enjoying until the last third of the book. It was like, whatever. And then the last third of the book was just a hot train wreck. There's nothing else on my shelf that I could really think of. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm talking a lot about the same books, which it is what it is, I guess. Number 5? Yes. What fictional character do you wish were not killed off? I've seen a lot of people bring up the Harry Potter series, and I'm going to bring it up too, but not in the way, because I don't really have a character that I'd want to bring back from the dead. I want Harry Potter from Harry Potter to actually stay dead, which hurts my soul because Albus Severus Potter is my favorite Harry Potter character. I understand that we only really get the epilogue with him to most Potterheads. I count The Cursed Child as canon. That's an unpopular opinion. Come at me in the comments below. I do not give a single fuck. I count it as canon because it gave me all of the Scorpius Albus relationship that I was headcanoning from 2007? Was that when that book came out? I have it on my shelf. Yes, this book was released in July of 2007. This is the first release. Shout out to Goodwill. I wanted Harry Potter to stay dead. When I got to the part near the end and Harry and Voldemort were having that little battle and Harry died, I was like, I jumped out of my bed and I was like, yes, hooray, hooray. And it's not because I hated Harry, right? Because my favorite book in this series is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, which is 800 pages of Harry Potter and angst and being in his head and him and his troubles and his issues and being 15 and just being a hot mess. That's my favorite Harry Potter book, right? So I love Harry. But when he died, I was like, J.K. Rowling did that. She did that. And then I looked and I saw how many pages were left and I was like, she didn't do that. And I like the thing where Harry chose not to really move on to the afterlife and he chose to come back and he didn't give up, and that was true to his character. And we got Albus Severus out of it, which Y'all can be mad about his naming. Y'all can be mad about Cursed Child. Like I said, not a single fuck do I give. But I did want Harry to die. Okay, the next question. What are some of your bookish pet peeves? I literally do not have any. Next question is, what are some books you feel should have more recognition? And I have a nice little stack, so let's talk. Some of these I feel aren't really valid choices. Like it's kind of a funny story by Ned Vizzini, which I think was popular. It was popular enough to get made into a movie, which I think is actually a really good adaptation. It has, who is it? I know that Emma Roberts for sure is in it, and I want to say someone else who was kind of well known was in it, but I feel like that's a lie. But I really loved this when I read it. I think it was in 2012, and I haven't reread it since then, but I haven't really... I think I hear it sometimes get brought up in May for, like, mental health reading, but I really love this. I really love Ned Vizzini. I'm sad that we no longer have him in this world, but this book is forever going to be one of my favorites, and when I actually was able to buy a copy, it made me very happy. So this one for sure. We'll put these up because they need recognition, so they can chill. Boom. It's kind of a funny story by Ned Vizzini. Then I have The Evil Genius. This is the first book in the Genius trilogy. The second one being Genius Squad and Genius Wars. I have not read Genius Wars yet, but Genius Squad is just as great. This is one of the books that introduced me to Australian middle grade fiction. And Australian fiction is still some of my favorite. I don't read a lot of it. I'm not going to sit here in front and act like I'm some Australian genius who's over here reading all the Australian releases. And I think that Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff are both from Australia, so the fact that I don't like their book... I didn't like Gemina either, so like the fact that I don't like them actually kind of makes me a little bit sad. But this one is great. Really love it. Even Will Kostakis' The Sidekicks, I really want to read more from him. He has a new book coming out later this year, Monuments, and I've heard nothing. No buzz about this book. Literally nothing. So I guess we can count that one too. But this one opened, like, this is easily one of my favorite middle grade books ever, and I don't really know how many people read them here in America, but they're great, and I do recommend them, and y'all need to get on it. And these covers are super shiny, and I love that about them as well. Then I have some more questionable choices. Like, y'all can drag me for this choice in particular. Like, I have... Can I get these to face? There we go. I have everything that Chad Colton has ever written here, minus Strange Animals. I do not have a copy of this, but I have read it. I don't think I did a review of it. I read it at the same time I was reading The Wicked King, so whenever that review went up, I read Strange Animals right around then. I have a Goodreads review. I might leave the Goodreads review for that one in the... I reviewed all of these books here on my channel. They are all questionably misogynistic. I think Men, Women, and Children is easily the least misogynistic thing that Chad Colton has ever written. But this one also deals with... This is an adult novel, but there are point of view chapters from several high school students, and there are sexual elements. So do know that going into this one. This duology, The Average American Male and The Average American Marriage, features a nameless male protagonist, and the story is literally like the same on both of them. I don't really think you need to read both of them. I don't think it's the world's best duology, but they are very short, and they're I don't know. It's, again, very questionable content, very misogynistic, but I think that it does spark a lot of interesting discussion that I've never gotten the chance to have because no one's ever read these books. I think that by far anyway, the most controversial... Well, after reading Strange Animals might be the most controversial because that one has like a religious extremist and just some random person and their lives he's a Christian. It's not like there's not like a Muslim terrorist in Strange Animals. It's a like right wing Christian fundamentalist who paths cross with this woman who is having an abortion. Chad Colton is not the person I would want to write the abortion narrative. Like I said, the man, not. Anyway, The Lie is a story told in 3 perspectives, and again, there is some questionable sexual content in this. There is some questionable. I have a review of this one. I'm just gonna link the review. I'm kind of embarrassed because the time that I read these, the video quality on my channel was shit. But I will leave a link to my review of The Lie because what happens in this book is just the craziest shit that has ever happened in any book I've ever read. And I know nobody who has read this man. So if y'all could get on that, I would greatly appreciate it. And the last question that's an actual question is, what are your thoughts on censorship and banning books? I don't really have an opinion. I think that anybody who's making book-related content in their free time is going to advocate for the easy access to bookish-related materials. And I think that what's more important than keeping a book away from a reader is being in a position to allow that reader to come to the adult person in their life, the mature person in their life, and talk about whatever the heavy content that's in that book is about. Like, the reason it's being banned for, whatever, like violence or swearing or whatever, witchcraft, I think that those are silly reasons. And I think that it's more so because you're not ready or willing to have these conversations with the person who's reading it. So that's all I really have to say. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button or the dislike button. Go for it. Hit it. Like, it's engagement either way. I would prefer if you left a comment, but you don't have to. I understand it's a daunting process. But like I said earlier, feel free to drag me in the comments. I'm not going to delete it. I will probably get a good chuckle. There were a couple of controversial statements made, so I'm fully expecting it at this point. And, if you liked what you saw here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I don't like doing this. I don't like saying hit the subscribe button. But I'm going to try it out. We're going to see how it feels. In a couple of videos, so hit the subscribe button if you liked it. If you didn't like it, like I said, that thumbs down, it's right there. I will have no judgment on you. I mean, I will, but it's a valid option. So that's all I really have to say. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video, whatever that happens to be. But until then, bye.